Today, I want to talk to you guys about the number one thing that success-driven young adults can do to build their best lives in their early 20s. I remember feeling so lost when I was fresh out of high school. I dropped out of online college and I found myself really alone for the first time. And I personally had always grown up playing sports. I was surrounded by a ton of great people, so it was really difficult for me to be alone for the first time. I was amazed by how quickly I was thrown into the cycle of waking up, working, going to bed, and repeating that same cycle each and every single day at 18 years old. And one of the weirdest things about working at this time is that I learned it didn't matter what you were like in high school whatsoever. Nobody cared if you were cool. Nobody cared if you were an athlete. And in order to understand this, you guys are going to need to know a little bit about the hierarchy of that specific gym that I was working at. So there were the front desk people who would make the least. I, as a trainer, would make, I guess, the second most, and then you had other managers who were obviously making more. And I remember realizing that I had a 60-year-old coworker who was making less than me when I was 18 years old, and that scared me so much in terms of what my potential future could look like. And don't get me wrong, this person that I worked with was a great person, but they were consistently blaming the world for why they ended up where they were. This realization pushed me to the point where I was just done feeling so average. I was done feeling like I was a disappointment to my family, and like I was just dishonoring all the hard work and sacrifices that they'd made for me to get to the point that I was at in life. What I really wanted was a job that I enjoyed, a job that would make me happy to wake up each and every single day to serve the world. My dad had always said that he felt like a hamster on a wheel, just doing the same thing day in, day out for the same exact purpose, just to make money. And I never understood this until I started working. But I remember back to when I was playing soccer and I would make the good team, and that team would be more expensive than other teams. My dad would stand in the parking lot directing traffic on his days off so that he could afford for me to make and play on that team. And see, back then, I didn't really appreciate his hard work as much as I should have. I was being ignorant to the fact that he was doing this on his days off because he loved me. And to be honest, I was actually embarrassed that he was doing this at the time. It embarrassed me if my teammates saw him doing that, or the fact that he even had to do that, because I was just so oblivious to what the cost of things actually were in life until I started to work. You see, I grew up in an area where a lot of my friends were way better off than me, and I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that for me to have the same opportunities as a lot of my friends, for example, making the good soccer team and playing on the good soccer team meant being able to have to afford being on the good soccer team. So at this point, I really began to understand the value of hard work and money. And to tie it all back together, when I realized that I was 18 years old making more than a 60-year-old at my job, that made me look at my trajectory in life way beyond just tomorrow. And that gave me a hunger for personal development. And thank God I was into fitness at the time. You see, fitness gave me a routine. I was balancing my own fitness goals, training my own clients, and I was learning skills like cooking. But the most important thing that I learned from fitness was that hard work pays off. And that gave me the passion and the hunger for more out of personal development. So when I realized that I wanted to make my passion into my profession to repay all of the sacrifices that my family made for me, like when my dad stood in the parking lot and I wasn't even as appreciative as I should have been as a younger kid, I quit my job and used that metaphor that hard work pays off. And I started doing the number one thing that success-driven young adults who want to join the top 1% should do, and that was acquiring skills. I didn't even realize it at the time, but I had already taught myself so many skills that were going to help me in the future. Starting my fitness journey gave me the skills I needed to see results for myself. Getting a personal training job forced me to learn how to sell those skills in order to help others. And once I knew I was confident enough to help other people see results and how to sell those results, I quit my job and started a business. But there were a ton of micro skills that actually led to this. Guys, the only reason that you're seeing this video like this right now is because I used to make the worst fitness videos on iMovie just because I was so passionate about fitness. Back then, when I was just starting to work, I wasn't investing money into learning skills. I was investing my time into that. And then once I started my business, saved up money, I invested that money into learning skills, which gave me some of my own personal time back. And guys, you see, the reason that skills are the number one thing we must acquire as driven young adults is because those skills make you unreplaceable. If my business disappeared overnight, I've learned enough skills so I'm confident that I could work as an editor for somebody else's videos, do online sales for somebody else's business, get a job as a high-end personal trainer, teach people about nutrition. Guys, the whole concept of skill acquisition at our age is that when you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him and his family for a lifetime. And guys, the truth is, if we want to be in the top 1%, we can't do what 99% of other young adults are doing. This is exactly how dreams die, guys. We start drinking sometime in high school, Friday and Saturday nights, which turns into the occasional Thursday because it's kind of fun. And then you turn 21 and you can order drinks at brunch. And then all of a sudden you graduate college and you enter a world where nobody really cares if you can shotgun a beer the fastest. At the same time, student loans hit, we're trying to move out, buy our first house for the first time. That car that we had back in high school is probably about to shit the bed. And for most people, this is within a 5 to 10 year span of when we have our first child. So guys, the main message that I want to share with you today is just the importance of skill acquisition at our age in our early 20s. Learning how to edit videos in my room helped me quit my 9-to-5 job, start my fitness coaching business, and be able to help my parents afford their dream house while my dad was going through a serious life-threatening infection. And guys, none of that would have been possible if I didn't expand my time horizon to the next 5 years instead of just tomorrow and take an actual look at the trajectory that I was going down. So guys, the number one thing that you can do in your early 20s to build your best possible life and join the top 1% is to have the main goal of making your passion into your profession by starting to invest your time into learning skills. And then once that starts to pay off, invest your hard-earned money into learning more skills. Guys, I appreciate your time so much, and all that I ask is that you share this video with a success-driven friend who you want to meet at the top 1%.